telling your folks. Can you hand me another pen from over there? This one doesn't stay connected. Greetings. Hey. Welcome. Hey, everybody. Hey. Good to see you all. Good evening. Good evening. Greetings. Thank you. Hey, sis. Mwah. It's always better when my sisters are with me. It's always great. Greetings, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Listen, we got a lot to cover in a little bit of time. We shall not be here all night. You hear me? We shall not be here all night, but we're gonna do this hypertension thing. We're gonna do it well. I want to make sure that every single person that comes in, I want to make sure every single person that comes in leaves with something potent and rich for themselves, or to take back to someone that you know who really, really needs this. Because there's a whole lot of chatter out on these webs, these interwebs, about hypertension, about high blood pressure. But I think we're missing some things, and I want to bring those pieces of information to you. So I have no intention of hanging around. Greetings, Bianca. I have no intention of hanging around. We're going to jump all the way in. I did say, upon sending out this invitation, to bring your notebooks and bring your tea. I have my tea. I'm having Peace Be Still. It's one of my favorite blends at the Wellspring. Good evening. The Peace Be Still is I like it because it addresses adrenal fatigue. It addresses anxiety and grief. Greetings, Dr. Ori. It addresses stress and the feeling of disintegration or feeling separated and not protected in the world. Those things are essential and important to me because all of my life, all of my work has always been in the field of helping people to be well, helping people to be healthy, both spiritually, both spiritually, physically, and in all aspects of the mind-body work. Therefore, Peace Be Still is one of my favorite teas because I spend my time helping and mending people. I find it essential to make sure I take the time to pause, stand still, and heal and mend myself, because it is an important principle for the healer to heal themselves. Take the time to be a healing agent for yourself. Greetings, everybody. So this is the reason for my Peace Be Still tea. The Peace Be Still is available at the Wellspring. I suggest that everybody have Peace Be Still, man, woman, or child. I suggest everybody have Peace Be Still because we all come across times. Greetings, China Baby. We all have moments. And Sandman, welcome back. We all have times when we need to be, nurtured. We need time. We need those times. And so Peace Be Still is how I do that at the end of every evening. So let's get into it. As I said, I don't want to play around. I don't want to play no games. I want to get right to talking about the work of Healthy BP. And because I am full with this subject, it is one of my favorite things to talk about. I had to make sure that I get some notes so I don't keep us in here all the little long day, as my sister said. So I got some notes and some things I want to go over. So if you see me looking to my left, that's what it is. It's the notes that I will refer to as do not stay all night on these internet streets. That's the name of my notes. Do not stay all night. So we're going to go over some natural approaches to addressing blood pressure. I want to make sure that we have this one principle in the forefront of our minds as we go through this process, and that is that it is impossible. It is absolutely impossible for you to heal any matter of hypertension, any matter of high blood pressure. I'm going to use those terms interchangeably because I find that sometimes people don't actually know that the pressure, as some of our elders call it, the pressure actually is referred to as hypertension. So greetings, see to God in them, see to God in them. I want to make sure that we understand that because when we talk about this, we're ultimately saying there is too much pressure in the body. There's too much intensity in the body for the body to perform optimally. So that's what we're talking about when we say hypertension. And therefore, it gives us a really good picture of exactly what we're talking about. There is too much pressure. Pressure where? In the arteries. There's too much pressure in the arteries for the body to perform optimally. Why is that important? Because the arteries, everything from capillaries over to aorta, capillaries being the very small byways of blood movement. You see how I hope you can see that. You see how greetings everybody, greetings. You see how my nail bed is turning from light to dark. That's because their blood flow is there. When I press on the capillaries, they turn white, and when I release it turns red. That's good blood flow. It should make that adjustment very quickly. The moment I remove my finger from it, greetings everybody, then we should automatically end up seeing that red blood come back in. Those are the smallest byways, highways and byways of the blood circulation system. Those are the capillaries. And then there's all the way over to the aorta. Massive chamber where blood moves in and about the heart. So when we talk about too much pressure, that's where that pressure is. It's in those arteries. It's in those highways and byways. Those things are so essential because, listen, they move through the entire body. If there is too much intensity and those highways and byways are becoming oppressed by that pressure, then they don't perform well. It's really just that simple. It's not, and just like for my nail, it's an excellent example. You see, like I said, when I press on it, I hope you can see that clearly. When I press on it, it turns white, and when I release it, it turns red. Hypertension can be just that simple. Relieve the pressure, the flow continues properly. So how do we relieve the pressure? That's like, I don't know, somewhere down in my notes, we're going to get to that. But I want to make sure we're understanding it properly, have a good concept of what we're talking about. It's not some magical mystery thing that is happening in the body. It's just that simple. There is too much pressure in the body, and we have to address it. Okay, so now I said that I want to talk about natural approaches. We can't talk about natural approaches if we don't understand the brain and heart connection. I did say get your notes, and I did say get your tea. Hopefully you all have had an opportunity to grab your cup, because I'm definitely going to be drinking mine while we're here. The brain-heart connection is important. So we have to talk about the autonomic system, the autonomic nervous system in the body. Autonomic is the aspect of the system that is kind of doing its own thing, right? So you have two different systems going on, sympathetic and parasympathetic. I'm going to do my best, like I said, to not keep us in here all night. So I'm going to keep some things simple. Greetings, everybody. Consider this a heartfelt wave. And if you see new people come in that I don't greet, you greet them for me. Thank you, please, so that everybody feels, connected when they get in the room. So I want to make sure that we understand the sympathetic nervous system is one that houses the fight, flight, freeze effect in the body. That's the part that is responsive, and it is going to respond to however you are feeling, whatever you're thinking or whatever you're feeling. Then you have a different system, parasympathetic, that should be able to sort of mind its business, do its own thing, but our lives and what we're thinking and what we're feeling impacts all these systems so assertively that the body ends up in a state of panic. It doesn't know exactly what you want it to do. It's much like having your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time. The car makes this horrible lunging sound. It's a horrible sound because it doesn't know what you want it to do. Did you say go? Did you say stay? Did you say you want me to stay still? Did you say you want me to go? That's what's happening in the heart when the body is clearly expressing to you, I need a minute. No, for real. I really need a minute. And you're like, no, you don't. Go. And the body's like, no. I need a minute. So the systems end up confused and triggered, frankly, by your lack of attending to yourself. I should have also prefaced this by saying I am a priest. I am a spiritual advisor. So I don't approach anything on the side of dealing with the body without first addressing matters of the spirit. I have to, because in reality, the spirit is the greater part of you. So if you're taking a medication that is not addressing the fact that you are a spirit, then the medication is not going to work fully. We have to address the whole picture. And this is why so many people are stuck on their medications for so long. The moment you pull back and stop taking that thing, blood pressure goes right back out the roof, because we're not addressing the whole picture. And there's so many different reasons why that's happening, and I'm going to attempt to get to those. So we talked a little bit about the autonomic nervous system, the body's control center for blood pressure. The sympathetic nervous system acts as our fight or flight response. It increases blood pressure throughout the vessels and causes them to constrict. Greetings, everybody. It causes them to constrict if there's an intensity happening. Those vessels begin to contract. Now, remember what I said. If there's too much pressure in there, then the blood pressure, the heart is going to be under more distress. So naturally, we have to talk about why you are stressed. And I don't mean stress in the sense of like my job, my money. No. I mean, stress is something, as I said, I think last week, stress is healthy. We all need it. We should come into the body like this, peak a little bit like this, plateau, and then drop back out. If this is happening, hypertension will not be a thing. This is what should be happening at all times. If you're in a space in your life where this is happening, then this is happening. And this is happening. And you're staying in this place, or even staying in this place for too long without doing this, hypertension is going to happen. Why? Because the body needs you to release that pressure, relax it again, so that we can get back to proper flow. And this is the reason why people feel some of the things that they feel when their blood pressure is high. Why would you feel headaches? Because there's constriction happen. Why would you feel tingly sensations at the fingertips? Ooh, somebody please remind me. Should I do it right now? I'm going to just talk about this. I mentioned this briefly to someone today, and I'm going to take a minute, just a left turn to mention it right now. Some people feel numbing sensations at their fingers and their toes while never considering that it's a matter of blood pressure. Some people feel dizziness or swirling of the head while never considering it's blood pressure. I assure you, blessings and greetings to you. Y'all are so kind. Thank you. The reason why I want to mention that is because if you just think about what's happening in the body, then you have a good understanding of why you'd feel what you feel. Crimp off a water hose, like squeeze it so that all the water doesn't come out. There's going to be horrible sounds going on as that water gets backed up in the system. So the reason why we need to understand the impact of intensity, that's the word I like for this. We need to understand intensity is because when you picture it like that, then you go, oh, okay, my body just simply needs me to release the intensity in my life. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple points in here. I want to just share with you couple things about energetics. So there are energetic components to this. As I said, there's no way in the world I'm going to deal with a matter of high blood pressure and not deal with matters of the spirit. Because the thoughts that you think, the feelings that you feel, and the way you feel about what you think, all those things are immediately adding to your blood pressure. You know how people say a person get on your nerves, right? You say a person stresses you out. That is literal. It is actually happening. It matters to us that we think about it this way because if you pay attention, the conversations that you have directly impact your blood pressure. People say that person got my blood boiling, this kind of thing. Listen, if you really want to get a handle on this blood pressure thing, you absolutely must get a handle on your thoughts. You must decide, things I say all the time, you must decide first and foremost to mind your goddamn business. Everything that happens is not your business. Even if it happens within the sphere of your reality, it's not your business. And by that, I really mean it is not business that you can afford to be minding. Why? Because there's only so much intensity that you can hold in the body without being ready to honor that the body needs you to do this. It needs those breaks. It needs those spaces. So let's take an example, for instance. If you are thinking about something while driving, you take your heart rate before you have that thought in your mind, before you have that conversation in your head. Pay attention to that. Then go through this cycle of thinking about somebody who did something to you, somebody else who said something, how you feel about where you're going, all those things, and then take the heart rate again. You will see that heart rate is elevated. If the heart rate is elevated, then the blood pressure can also be elevated. They are not one and the same, but it can also be elevated. The way you're thinking and the way you're feeling and the way you think about what you feel and the way you feel about what you think directly impact your blood pressure. So I always talk about cognitive labor, the labor of your thoughts. You are wearing yourself out with your thoughts. You're wearing yourself out with your feelings. You have to have a space where you release the intensity. So I'm going to go back over these notes again, just because I just had to throw that in there. It's important. So the energetic components of blood pressure. A part of the trouble we have in these United States, and really it's become a horrible spread, like a plague across this country and others, is that we've forgotten how to follow the best of our ancestral ways. In the best of our ancestral ways, people knew that TV turned off. There came a point when TV turned itself off. There was nothing else on. So it shut down and people went to bed. Nowadays, we don't do that. We need to follow the best of our ancestral ways. They knew to take themselves to bed. They knew that it was essential that they get rest. You're going to have that if you want to address matters of the heart. Why? Because on a physical level, while you're laying down, it is the same as putting your body on the charger. And when you put your body on the charger, aka the bed, your body restores itself. It does some cleaning work. It dumps out, all the thoughts that you had throughout the day that are useless. It dumps out the emotional track that you've been on throughout the day that doesn't serve you to go into the next day. When you're resting, this is why sometimes your dreams look so crazy to you, because it's flushing out things that are just not needed. Your brain and your body do a wonderful job of detoxing your craziness while you're sleeping. So it's essential that you go to bed. If you stay up all night because of whatever reason, your body doesn't have an opportunity to do that detox work. It doesn't have an opportunity to tonify itself. If you keep staying up, you're continuing to add toxins to the system. That will not serve you well. We can't have that. So that's an important thing. Go to bed. Everybody says that. Well, what's the difference in why do I say that now? The reason why I want you to look at it from the perspective of putting your body on the charger is because you know how these devices, they don't work well. They'll give you a symbol when they're going into, what is it called? Battery preservation mode or battery saving mode or something like that. Yeah, because it recognizes that it can't do everything that it usually does on a low battery. It is, in fact, a smart-ass device. It recognizes that it can't perform all the functions that you want it to do when it doesn't have enough energy. And the same thing is the case for you. You've got to understand that there comes a point when your body is going to start making some choices about what its priorities are going to be. Its priority is supposed to be to restore your organs, to heal and restore your organs while you're sleeping. That's what it wants to do. But if you make your system stay up in the evening hours, stay up overnight, not get any rest, then it's going to make a decision. I can't do everything because I'm in battery saving mode. I can't do all of my functions. The number one function that it's going to bow out on is restoring you. Now, what good sense does that make? You need that. You need that. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for coming in. I see you. Thank you. So I want to make sure that you understand today you have to choose a different model. Today you've got to go to bed at a decent hour. Think of it this way. Put your body on the charger. Not, just for the sake of, but understand that that's your job. Your job is to create the most optimal circumstances for your body to perform in. That's what it's got to do. And that's your job, to make it do that. So moving on. I wanted to talk about the heart processing emotional information. So the heart and the brain, they do this dance, right? Where brain recognizes that it is a storage center. It's got to hold data. Heart has to sort of do some analyzing work for what we feel, because the body speaks the language of feelings, right? The body speaks the language of feelings. That is the reason why, greetings. Hey, KP. The body is going to explain to you, what do you feel about this thing? And if you stub your knee, bump your knee, stub your toe, hit your elbow, etc. It sends these signals. There's a system going on. We call it the nervous system that's passing these messages from body to brain, from brain to body. It's doing all this work for you to understand what is happening here in your sacred temple called body. So it sends all these messages through. But your heart is going to decide how it feels about that thing. You ever find yourself, you hurt yourself when you're fine until you realize you're bleeding? Like everything's fine till you see the injury. Just like, oh my God, because now you have a feeling about what you felt. You have a feeling about what's happening. So we have to make some adjustments here where we understand first that the relationship between brain and heart is super synergetic. Everything, it's communicating all the time. So you're thinking that it's just blood pressure. It's just a physical heart. That's not true. What you feel is directly affecting how your heart is functioning. For real, y'all. It really is. So we have to take some accountability for how we're feeling because that is going to affect the blood pressure. I will give another example. If you find yourself in an argument with someone, very often your blood pressure will become elevated. Not because of the physical. You could have been sitting at your desk, just like this. You could have been sitting at your desk, nothing going on around you. But the conversation that you're having with that person perturbs you so badly that it will elevate your blood pressure. Not because you've exerted any particular physical energy, but because you've exerted the energy of your emotions. It's a body. The emotions are a body unto themselves. It's a huge deal. Listen, I could rabbit hole in this place. I love this conversation and I want to share it with you all. I said I wouldn't talk you to death, so I'm going to do my best. Okay, so a word that I want you to hold on to. I want you to understand the word coherence. Coherence as it relates to what's happening in the brain and what is happening in the body. This is so important because much like that gas and brake at the same time analogy that I gave, if what you're talking about doesn't align with what you're feeling, then you will have incoherence. The same thing is happening with the electricity going on around the heart. The reason why you feel heart palpitations, why you feel flutters and all these things is because the fluidity of that beat is incoherent. There's too much pressure in there for it to do its thing smoothly as it should. So the heart should have a boom, 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 boom. And every time you are impacted by intensity, every time you allow yourself to be moved by things that are ultimately irrelevant to your divine reality, you cause incoherence, which makes that electricity not flow the way it should flow. If the energy and the electricity are flowing nicely, that heartbeat is going to flow. It's going to be nice. So you have so much power over what your blood pressure is looking like at any given time. We know it to be true because Buddhist monks and deep traditional African healers and indigenous peoples from all around the lands are able to drop their blood pressure all the way down to 60/50 just by the control of their heart and their mind. They're not special. We can all do it. And we have to do this because, again, coherence means that the language and the flow of energy around the heart is disrupted. It's not moving nicely. You need a, whenever you need alignment, you'll notice that the car keeps kind of veering to one angle, one side or the other. This is because what's happening in that axle is incoherent. It's not operating properly. And so therefore it's affecting the flow and the function. You're trying to get this forward trajectory. You're trying to get this motion going forward. And it's not happening well because everything's misaligned. This is exactly what happens around the heart. Your fears, your frustrations, they are throwing off the electrical charge around the heart. And you can fix it. And we're going to get to that. Okay, so if y'all got questions, now's the time. Drop them in there. I'm going to keep going, but feel free to put them in there if you have them. Okay. I wanted to talk about the empath in you. So sometimes people come into the Wellspring and they have every diagnosis, all the things. They have all the diagnosis. You name it. they have it. And if they don't have it now, they've had it. Sometimes we can have a diagnosis and we feel badly, in theory, we feel badly about being sick. But we must start to ask ourselves, what do we gain from this diagnosis and this sickness? What are we gaining? See, listen, this might ruffle some feathers. Y'all pay attention to how many people are here now and how many people are left after I say what I'm about to say. Okay? I want you to understand that sometimes we get a whole lot out of being the sickly one. We benefit from being the one who needs help. We gain something of favor in an unhealthy way by being the person who needs the attending to, who needs the attention. I'm not saying that you don't have whatever the diagnosis is that you have. What I am saying is that you may be unwilling to part ways with that diagnosis because of what that diagnosis brings you. That diagnosis may make it so that you can guarantee that your man, your woman, your son, your daughter, your sister, your brother is going to come bring you some meal, a dinner that you didn't even eat, full of some trash that you shouldn't be eating. But you can guarantee somebody's going to check for you because you got this diagnosis and everybody knows that you need their help. That diagnosis, I guarantee you, is going to mean you'll never let go of it and you'll never do the work to be well. The reason why you won't do the work to be well is because then who's going to come and pay attention to me if I'm well? They weren't paying attention to me before this happened. Now, you see that number going down? I'm just kidding. I want to make sure you understand that being unhealthy can happen in many ways. And though no one wants to be sick, in theory, people don't want to be sick. We do need to look at the secondary gains from being the person who's not well. We need to assess that because if we're not well and we're gaining something from that, we're probably not going to let ourselves become well. You know, people who are used to seeing this, personal trainers, anybody who has to work with you on your physical health, they're used to hearing you complain and express your dissatisfaction on particular things that are happening in your body, but not be willing to do the work to address those things because of the fact that you get more you get more attention from your personal trainer. And I mean simple things, y'all, don't get mad. But believe me, I've seen enough. By the way, I've been doing this since I was 7 years old. I've been here forever. I've been addressing grown folks matter since I was 7. So I've been in conversations. I've been able to listen to people struggle to create the health dynamic that they really want to see in their lives for a very long time. I've been doing this since well before I was old enough to be doing this because it's my calling, it's my life. It's what I came here to do. So therefore I do it. And in that, I've had an opportunity to have many conversations with people where I will say to them, you know, what are you willing to do? What are you ready to do? And they'll tell me how they don't want to be sick. They don't want to have this issue. They don't want to have that issue. But when it's time to do the work, they won't do that work. And there are a bunch of reasons why we won't do that. And I wish I could take the long version and tell you it. But I mentioned the empath in us. So some of us are so sensitive that we are holding on to the illnesses of the sick-minded people around us. Some of us are so sensitive that we don't know the difference between what we feel within our own being and what we are feeling, like picking up from within the environment around us. Some of us, we have that experience. Some people have that experience where what they're feeling of their own, they don't know the isolated difference between this is my pain, this is my fear, this is my sadness, this is my grief, and this is the grief, sadness, and pain and hurt of all the people in the room with me. They don't know how to make that distinction. So they're essentially sucking up all the senses, the sensory data that's in the environment, and calling it their own self. And it may not actually be your own self. So it's important to have some energetic boundaries. So as we go about the work of talking about what it means to be well and heal hypertension naturally, this is one of the things you must do. You must establish some energetic boundary. The first boundary is your mouth. Do not allow yourself to be the foul or the negative in any conversation. Just disperse that energy from yourself. I know that sounds curious, right? I was first talking about what it means to be the empath, the person who picks up things in the room. And now I'm saying you have to do that work within yourself first, because the first community, the very first community that you are a part of is the community of soul. After the community of soul is the community of yourself. Inside the community of yourself is the community of, after that is the community that you come from. That's your biological bloodline. After that community is the community of your home, the people that you live with. After that community is the community of your society, the people that you engage with from place to place and, group to group. After that is the greater community and reality. You're a part of every single one of them, and you are impacting everyone, and every one of them is impacting you. All of those communities coming from the community of soul. The community of soul is like the greater oneness of all beings, all of us, one breath, one mind, one heart, this type of thing. We all are right now a part of this one reality, one breath, right? So that's that very first community. And then all the others that I mentioned. And you are being impacted by every single one. So if you are an empath, if you are a person that's picking up things, then those things can affect you on a physical level. Why? Because the body speaks the language of feelings. I mean, we're not out here in any like la reality. There are things between you and I in this energetic space between this device and my physical form that are in fact they are realities. They are matter, right? They are an energetic being. Oh, how can I simplify this for you all? I want you to understand that we are all impacted by things seen and unseen. I don't care what you call it. I don't care what your spiritual practice is. I don't care what your belief structure is. I don't care. All those things, somewhere in them will be the reality that you are an energy that is embodied in a physical form. How do we know this? Because nobody says, let me bury your soul. That doesn't happen. They bury your physical being. That thing is left behind. That is the physical matter. And even that is going to become disintegrated into matter of a different form, right? This matters because of the impact that it has on the way you think and feel. If you don't recognize that the things that you feel have an impact on you physically, then you're thinking that you just have hypertension. You're not realizing that there is an intensity upon you for what you're experiencing. And your physicians, many of them, because they're working on you as a physical being, not as a whole being, then they are going to give you a medication that is designed to speak to the chemicals on a physical plane only, what they can see. And this goes back to the separation between church and state. Listen, long old conversation. I'd love to be in it. The difference between how we, where we separate what we can talk about in a hospital versus what we can talk about in a mosque, for instance, or in a hospital, in a church, or that kind of thing, church and state, those separations there. Most hospitals do not want to talk about what's happening around your spiritual realities. As a matter of fact, I'm very often called into those hospitals. I'm the, priest that comes into the room with when life matters, crisis are happening. They call me to come into that room to have those conversations because the physician is not going to be able to have those conversations. So that person's theoretically there to deal with the body, and I'm there to deal with the soul. And so I want to make sure you're paying attention to this. As we talk about healing the body, you have to be ready to deal with matters of spirit. Again, I do not care what your spiritual practices are. That's up to you. I've got no feelings about it. I could love the conversation, but I've got no feelings because it doesn't matter which one of these practices is your practice, if any at all. The point is, if you're going to deal with these forms of treatment with your physician, you better have a way that you're also dealing with the matters of spirit. Otherwise, you're just going to be on these treatments, these medications for basically forever. Because much of what's happening around your blood pressure has nothing to do with your physical heart, which is why so many of you are on the medication, go in there to see the doctor and they go, aorta's fine, ventricular work is fine, everything's going on, everything's fine. Calcium scores 0, everything around your physical heart is fine. Well, then why are we having this conversation? Because this is not actually a physical matter. It's not a physical matter. But the medication is trying to address something by way of dealing with the physicality. That's why it doesn't work. That's why, because your body and your body is consistently being impacted by what's happening in your head, what's happening in your spirit, what ends up happening is the medications doesn't work. They give you 2 medications and 3 medications because we're not actually addressing the core matter. We're not addressing the core issue. So anyways, as I said, if y'all got questions, I'm going to grab them when I get over there. I want to talk about management techniques for that mind-body part. I'm just going to stick these in here real quick, just in case people, drop out and I don't ever see you again in my life. I want to make sure you grab some of these things. I want to make sure that you have awareness that it's important that you have a practice that includes shutting up. Yep. Shut up. Just stop talking. Stop talking. Stop looking at devices. Find a window to stare out of. And don't do a daggone thing for at least 5 minutes a day. Do nothing. Ignore everybody. Let the children tear up something for the moment if you have to. You must have a moment where you do nothing. Think of it as a reset. Think of it as honoring the temple, the body, and giving it a moment to reset. At least 5 minutes of the day. Shut up and do nothing. It sounds like foolishness, but I assure you, in that 5 minutes, your heart rate is going to come into order. Heart rate is going to come into order. Generally, the blood pressure is going to attempt to follow suit. When you do that, you're going to find that breath becomes more full. You actually fully breathe, not chest breathing, not way up here, but fully breathing. That simple step can bring your blood pressure into range a good somewhere between 5 and 10 points. Just that, 5 minutes a day. So again, if you drop out of here and I never see you again, make sure you're doing that. Be sure that you're doing that. I talked about energetic boundary setting, the same thing with emotional boundaries. If you just enjoy being dramatic, and some people like drama. Some people like fighting. They like shenanigans. Some people do. We need it. And this goes back to what I said about what we get out of certain situations. Some people, let me tell you this little rule, right? Little rule is the average person can only receive on a frequency equal to or greater than where they are. Like this. Here's what I mean by this. You go into a room and children are playing, and you want the children to stop running amok, stop playing, stop jumping on the whatever, and you go, Daquan, stop jumping on the chair. Daquan, stop jumping on the chair. Daquan, stop jumping. Daquan, stop. This is what happens. Daquan can't hear you until you meet him where he is, right? So in relationships, we sometimes have a hard time connecting with people if they don't meet us in the insanity where we live. If they don't meet us in the chaos, we can't hear them. We can't feel them. We can't connect with them. We need them to get into the intensity where we live. What does that mean for your blood pressure? It means there's always going to be intensity. Here, I'm telling you to like level things out so that you can be well. If you're in a relationship, it goes back to figuring out what you're gaining out of this situation. If you're in a relationship where there's always conflict, you enjoy the battle. I know you're going to tell me you don't enjoy it. You're going to tell me you don't enjoy the drama. I'm telling you that you're lying. You do. You do. For whatever reason, you're gaining something out of this. Did you know when you what's that word? When you suffer a child from, like, you don't allow a child to have a hug or a kiss, do you know that same child will cause a temper tantrum so you can just come pick them up? Did you know that? If you don't share intimacy with a person, that person will do anything to get you to touch them. Anything. Why? Because our nervous system requires regulating by way of intimacy with another human. That's our nature. So even if all they can get is you slapping them around, remember, people will meet you only equal to or greater than, meaning you have to bring an energy to the picture. When I say greater, I don't mean positive. I mean wherever their ear can actually hear you, wherever they are, no matter how hyped they are, they need you to meet them there in order for them to feel you. And because we sometimes need to be felt, we need to be heard, we will do anything to get it. We'll argue, cuss, scream, slap things around. We'll take a punch to the face. We don't care. All these things are directly related to your blood pressure. Why? Because you have to check on you. You have to check and see why you're showing up the way you're showing up in some of the relationships you're in. Is it because you're needing this kind of time and attention? Is it because you're needing connectivity? Because if so, it doesn't matter what I tell you need to do to have a healthier blood pressure if at the root of it is that you desperately need affection. You desperately need attention. And we all deserve it. But if that chaos relationship is the only place you're getting that passion, the only place you're getting that intimacy, well, then you're going to stay in it, which means your blood pressure is going to stay high. Then this is a moot point. And that's the reason why I say these things are directly connected. So moving on. So making space for, this is the last part of that one, making space for processing. I talked about that 5-minute time. The same thing has to be the case as it relates to your coming in and out of stressful spaces. It's not a good idea to come out of something intense and then go right into a next thing. And this country believes that multitasking is a thing. I tell you, it is not a thing. You ain't never seen yourself multitask. It's not a thing. What you're doing is half-tasking. You're not fully doing one thing while you do the other thing. And I assure you that that's the case. If you could look at the brain frequency, brain wave activity, the moment you pull another task on, the frequency around that first task diminishes because you've given some of that function and that focus to another thing. So you're not doing all the things equally anymore. It may appear that you are, but you are not. And because of that, it's important that you stop one thing before you go into the next thing. Before you go home after work, if it is a safe space to do so, get yourself right in that car and sit still for a minute. Sit still and have those couple things that you do in the car because you have your water bottle in there, because you have your smudge stick there. I don't know, whatever it is, but take a minute before you move to the next thing. We are constantly on autopilot, and autopilot literally means dissociating. It means separating from your present time reality. We need the present. You must live in the present. We spend so much time trying to be in the future, trying to process the past while being here in the present. This is a dissection point that also causes stress and anxiety. Give yourself permission to just sit the hell still and be right here in this moment. Just be right here. Just be right here, just for a minute. When you give yourself that space to just be right here, just for a minute, you will find that your body celebrates for a moment. It allows itself to do some healing work that you need it to do, that you don't really have access to do in any other way other than the body having the space to do it for you. So I agree. Amen to that. All right. So, I want to talk about food as medicine, right? So I want to talk about food as medicine for a minute. So we all know that food in these United States is a hot damn mess. That's crazy. Soil's crazy. Water's crazy. Plants are crazy. Birds are crazy. Eggs are crazy. Soy is crazy. It's all crazy. Everything's crazy right now. But you still must eat. You got to eat. Therefore, we have to be very discerning about what, how, and when. I am going to say, as I always do, if you don't find yourself a farmer right where you are, find yourself a local grower. Are you going to get everything you need from a local grower? You can. But are you? I don't know. But I'm going to tell you, find yourself a local grower. Somebody who can at least get you your eggs right now, because stuff is going on with the eggs. Again, it's going on. You need a local grower, somebody who you can trust. You can get your eye and put your good eye on them and see what they're doing on their farm and know that you can trust their eggs. You need that. That's if you're going to eat that. Also, you need a local grower who's going to help you to make sure you have healthy produce. So the reason why I say this is because the closer you are to your food, to the growth of your food, the healthier you will be. The grocery stores are failing you. As I always say, many people do. If you're doing anything other than shopping on the perimeter of that grocery store where everything is perishable, then you are poisoning yourself. And if you're shopping where everything is perishable, you still need to make sure you're not poisoning yourself. So how to use food as medicine, super quick. If you're going to be addressing matters of blood pressure, here are 3 things, just 3 things that you need to have in your refrigerator, cabinet, something all the time. You must always have a quality hydration. That's going to be water from fruits. My favorite is going to be coconut water. As I said recently, the most important, not most important, my most protected source of coconut water right now in this season here on the East Coast is Harvest. You choose whatever you want to choose, but choose wisely, because there's a bunch going on with the coconut water right now across this country. You must have a quality hydration, not just a H2O, but also water from fruits, H3O and the like. So you need to have that. Why? Because the blood vessels, they will collapse on you. They'll get tighter on you when they don't have enough hydration. So you need that thing to stay bounding, nice and plump, lots of hydration. The red blood cell does not like to be dried out. You must have hydration on deck. Okay, so first is hydration. Second thing is, I'm just going to do a quality plug so you're real clear. Every blood pressure blend of herbs doesn't work. Everybody's blend doesn't work. And you cannot gather every damn herb off the whatever Google said and throw it all in a bucket and think that it's going to actually work. It doesn't work that way. You need to understand the nuances of how the heart works. You need to understand that. You need to understand nervines. You need to understand a bunch of things to make this actually effective. Therefore, make your way to the wellspring and get the healthy BP blend. Also, as I said earlier, that Peace Be Still blend, it's not for blood pressure, but because it addresses the adrenals, because it addresses the HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, it helps your body to like take the edge off, to chill. You need that. So you have to use herbs for healing. I'm going to get to that's going to be the last thing we talk about, I think. But I'm going to make sure that you're clear. You absolutely have to use herbs for healing. Now, does your doctor want you to use herbs? Probably not. Why? Because your doctor is going to be telling you all the reasons why the medication that they're giving you contraindicates, or you can't take it while you take this thing. I know y'all struggle with that foolishness. I've seen it way too many times. So here's the thing. In these United States, the FDA does not allow me to tell you to stop taking anybody's medication. So I'm not going to tell you that. What I am going to tell you is, one, there is no physician that is the boss of you, unless, of course, your daddy is a doctor. But anyway, the most important thing for you to do is make your own conscious choices. That's the first thing. Hydrate well, and then be taking herbs at an alternate time frame from when you're taking whatever your prescriptions are. I tell people to consult with a physician, but not just any physician. You must be talking to a physician who knows what the hell they're talking about when it comes down to holistic medicine. Why would you go consult a person who knows nothing about this, about something that's going to take you away from them? Why would you do that? That's not going to be helpful. You need a person who truly understands holistic healing. So, otherwise, you're on your own, my friend, and we got you over at the Wellspring. But my suggestion is be taking your herbs at an alternating time, at a distant time from the time that you're taking your prescriptions. And be monitoring. Monitoring your blood pressure is such a goddamn scary thing. How many people in the room hate taking their blood pressure? You hate taking it, like don't feel some way about looking at those numbers. I know that that's a sensitive thing, but I assure you, I will teach you how to do it in a way that works for you. I'll teach you to do it in a way that will work for you. One is the digital monitor thingy, not a fave. Not a fan, not a fave. They are often incorrect, and your physician is often not monitoring it properly. They want you to just walk in the door, and I like this. We don't call the doctor on Saturday night to see if that's exactly right. Agreed. It's my baby in there. So my suggestion is that she made me lose my thought. My suggestion is that you work with a physician who knows what they're talking about. Do not deal with those digital devices. They're often incorrect. Oh, I was saying that your doctor or the medical assistant, sometimes they don't follow basic protocols that we know you need to do before taking the blood pressure. Like some people already know, don't take the blood pressure when you first arrive. Wait until you've been in the room for whatever, 15, 30 minutes, whatever, and then let them take that number. And then maybe take it again at the end of your appointment, depending upon what happened in the appointment. But from my perspective, I want you to work with a different device and then the digital one. And I want to show you how to use that thing to understand what the blood pressure assessment is telling you. Because sometimes it's telling you that there's that pulsing is telling you that there's low hydration. Other times it's telling you that your anxiety is high, but the heart is functioning well. You need to know what those different numbers mean and know how to regulate them using holistic practices. I can tell you, personal experience, so many African or African American women do not do well on those particular medications. The reason is because it doesn't address it doesn't address the emotional body, and we live so much out of that space. I find the opposite reason to be true. The reason why the blood pressure medications often don't work well for men is because the men very often come into that space and automatically feel disempowered. They don't feel safe in the space either for a different reason. So then their numbers are elevated, and the medications like amlodipine has been known to not work well for Black people, despite the fact that it's the number one medicine that they want to give Black people. So I won't mess around with any of this stuff. Your diuretics are jacking up your kidneys. But listen, it's not my job to tell you don't take the things. My job is to tell you how to heal the body in lieu of the reality that's happening there. And I want you to do it in a healthy way. So anyways, food is medicine. So hydration, herbs, and foods that you absolutely need to have, maybe 2 foods that you need to have all the time. If you're going to have fats, let it be a healthy fat, because we don't want to jam up the arteries. We don't want fats, lipids clogging up the arteries. So make sure you're having a healthy fat. Healthy fat, lots of conversation about seed oils. We could talk about it, but the bottom line is that you don't really need oil in order to prepare like almost anything that you need to eat. So if you're going to be dealing with it, make sure it's an extremely healthy oil. If you got questions about which oils and so on and so forth, put your comments in the thing and we can go through those real quickly. So that's hydration, H3O, herbs, and foods. Foods that you should have: a healthy fat, quality salt. You're not going to address matters of blood pressure without the whole idea of like not taking in salt. Foolish. You need salt. You're an electrical system based on water and fire all in the same place. You must have salt. You just need a quality salt. My suggestion is Baja Gold, a French gray or Celtic salt. There's actually a salt out of Ethiopia and that region over there that I like also. And then I could say Himalayan, but I say Himalayan for people who have low iron. If your iron's low, then I like Himalayan, because the reason why it's pink is because rust, iron, that kind of thing. That's what's making that color. So that's why I suggest that. So you need a quality salt. That's all. The thought of, and then also there's a process of making a bit of a brine that you can drink to help the body to have the type of sodium that it needs. And maybe I'll share that at the end of this. I recommend Celtic salt from the perspective that it's light, but I like Baja Gold better. Baja Gold costs more, but the potassium is a little more stable in Baja Gold. So that's that. That's the simple stuff on the food side. Let's see. The fruit that is chickpea. Chickpea is good. And some people can't do beans, but I find that they're very helpful. I also like a super grain diet. I can share some information about super grain diet. It basically is like the ancient grains, the best of the best of the best of the best of the grains. Those grains coupled with the best dark fruits will lower your blood pressure in like no time. Will bring it right into range. But you must have quality coaching, because we want to make sure that you're well while your blood pressure is coming down. So I'm going to drop this in here, and then I'm going to go to the last thing. We do have a coaching program called the 120 Naturally Healthy Blood Pressure Coaching Program, where we go through all these things to make sure that you understand how to make the transition off of these medications. Because frankly, did you notice there's no end date on your prescription? Because nobody's trying to end it. You're going to be in there forever. So the only way you're going to not be taking it is if you have a plan to be able to get out of there in a healthy way. So my last thing, I talked about food. There's so many different ways to eat. People ask me, what do you think about greetings? People ask, what do you think about eating for your blood type? You need to do some research on the man who was paid to do that daggone study on eating for your blood type. No, I don't want to eat for my blood type. Because I don't want to eat the animals that come along with my blood type. I don't want to eat them. I don't want and I come from some Muslim roots where I know what it means to slaughter properly. I come from some indigenous roots where I will slaughter things. I understand that practice. I respect it. I revere it. I don't have fear of it. I will use hides. I will tan things out, with these hands, right? So I don't come to that from a perspective of fear or, some type of like political anything. No, I don't have anything to do with the word vegan. I don't know what that is. I don't know why we need that term. From where I'm from, I'm going to wear some Timbs, guys. I'm going to wear them. I'm going to wear some Timbs. I'm going to wear some feathers. I believe in using the hides properly in an honoring and reverence filled way. So therefore, vegan is not a thing for me. But I do believe that we need to eat in alignment with with the seasons. I believe we need to eat close to our home. I believe that, meaning like I said, you need some growers nearby so you can have some source of foods that are growing on your land. I believe that we also need to eat in a way that honors the body's processing time. You do not need to eat all day. Intermittent fasting is essential. And I don't care what you call it. The bottom line is you need to stop stuffing your face so much because your systems can't do it. My grandmother taught me. So my grandmother taught me how to use food as medicine. She taught me that the way she told me from early on is that people are going to eat themselves to the grave. You don't need to eat every day. That's what she said. And she showed me how to eat, to live. And I believe that we all need to do the same thing. Yes, I'd love to do that. Provide a list of the growers in our area. Yes, I would do that. Black seed oil and oregano oil. First and foremost, it's your source. Make sure you're with a quality source for the oils because I don't really care which oil it is. If it's coming from trash land and trash seeds, then I don't care how much you pay for it. It's going to be trash. So it's very important that you have a quality source. At the Wellspring, we use all these oils to make blends, like to make custom blends for you. But up till this point, we really haven't sold the oil itself on its own. I understand that we're getting ready to be doing that now, but if you're looking for a custom blend, something formulated with black seed oil or with oregano oil, or even with castor, we do all those things. And we love making custom blends, internal and external. We love making them. But in general, my answer is being certain that you have a quality oil. Because if I told you to go eat some fish or gather some seaweed from off of 295 area over there where the Washington Sewer and Sanitation joint is, you would not want to eat it because we know what's going on over there. But if I told you black seed was growing over there, you might think, oh, black seed, right? But then when I point out the spot, you'd be like, I don't want to have that, right? So what really matters is the sourcing. We are committed to having super clean sources of everything because everything in there I'm going to use in my body. Our children are raised in this way and we feed them from the same thing. We make their medicines from the same thing. So I'm not going to poison myself. Therefore, I'm not going to let you be poisoned either because we're going to be eating from the same source. Our black seed oil is going to come from the same source. All of our medicines are going to come from mine and yours. They're all going to come from the same place. So we're going to make sure they're clean and quality. So that's my answer to that. I love those oils, but I want them to be high quality. So if you're looking for those oils in a custom blend, we can do that. And maybe in the near week or two or something, we will be carrying the oil pure for you to purchase directly. Okay, so I want to talk about this last part right here. Y'all are doing so well. Thank you. But I have to talk about this last part. I want to talk about parasites real quick. Parasites. So the very first parasite I want to talk about is your baby daddy. What I really mean is people who you've welcomed them to attach themselves to you and they don't mean you any good. We spend all our time talking about the parasites in the fish, the parasites in the water. The very first parasite that you can address is your addictions that you've allowed to yourself to be attached to. And then the very one after that is the people that you brought into your space, into your sacred spaces, and into your homes, into your community. Those parasites. Listen, you don't need burdock for that. Although black walnut, I just love this conversation. Black walnut and really most of the anti-parasitic herbs, they work the same by way of a spiritual bath as they do as a internal medicine. Did y'all know that? Yeah. Black walnut is it's a spiritual anti-parasitic. You can use black walnut to clean the energy around yourself. Now, don't nobody get scared. I'm not telling you to go do that. I'm just telling you that it's a thing. The way the herbs function on a physical level, they also function on a spiritual level. So if you're looking for detoxing people and things, use the detoxing herbs. Make a detoxing bath. Detox yourself, from your ways, right? That's the first thing. But then over to the other parasites, right? So we have a blend called the Parasite Eviction at the Wellspring. The Parasite Eviction, it requires you to be very disciplined, because you need to do it at least 14 days. 21 is better. 21 on, then take a break for a week, do another 21. Then take another break for a week and do another 21. Why? Because parasites run in cycles. Anybody who's telling you good after a week, they're lying, and they don't know or they don't know what they're talking about. You're just not purging parasites in a week. You're not. You're annoying a parasite, if anything, in a week. And it's better to go longer if you really want to make some progress with this. So the Parasite Eviction takes 14 days is the minimum. I don't think anybody should go that short, but if you just want to see how you feel, then fine, do that. 21 days is best. And it's better to do, and listen, if you take a parasite cleanse and it's not bitter and disgusting, they're probably not effective. You need to completely throw the system off into the place of bitter, because our blood is too sweet, because our guts are too sweet. You need bitter if you're going to detox. You have to. You absolutely have to, because if it tastes good, they're lying. It's not going to work. Stop it. So, parasite cleanses. Some of the herbs that you must have if you want to do a parasite cleanse. One is, again, you must have hydration. You got to be hydrating. Really, really, really important, because you need to be purging and flushing. This is not a food, but you must be doing some type of lymphatic work, right? You need to move lymph through the body, help it to purge so that everything ends up in the toilet. It's important that you're doing strong citrus during that time. Orange is not one of them. I mean, like lemon, lime, key lime, etc. Even such that you're working with the peels in your baths, in your cleanses. It's important. You need to cause the system to be way, way, way. You can't get balance without going sort of pendulum in the opposite direction from where you live, which is too sweet and too acidic. So black walnut, I like poke root. I like dandelion, burdock. I like nettles. I like nettles in any parasite cleanse, because I want to keep my nourishing high. And then it's also important for me to say, I'm really going to go home, guys. It's important for me to say that it's important for you to, before, people go, what do I need to stop eating? What do I need to cut out eating? I don't even start there. I'm not starting with what you need to stop eating. I'm starting with what the body needs in terms of nourishment. A lot of the times we don't finish these cleanses and stuff that we do because we forget that we're so emotionally attached to food. Food is a whole medicine for us, as much as it is a whole poison for us. So when you start restricting certain foods, it shortens the period of time that you will make it through the cleanse. So my general rule is, do not eat things that are refined. If it's white, don't eat it. I don't care if it's a banana or cauliflower or even a light cabbage or a light lettuce. I'm not eating any of those things when I'm in a cleanse. I'm eating all the dark things. I'm eating dark fruits. I'm eating dark vegetables, those kind of things. And I'm going to start my cleanse off in a way that gives me longevity, because I need to be well long term. So those are some of the herbs I like. I'm going to do ashwagandha when I'm doing a fasting or a parasite cleanse, because again, going back to the adrenals, I've said a million times, I'll say it again here. Ashwagandha is not an energy herb. It is not. It is an adaptogen, which means it helps you to adapt it to environments. You can use ashwagandha to be energized. You can use ashwagandha to be relaxed. It's going to help you to shift gears. It's something that should be used to shift gears. Think of it like the transmission in the car. It's going to help you to pivot when you need to pivot. Much like when I said, when you come out of work, Let ashwagandha be the thing that you have in the car so that you can help yourself to come down off of a crazy place and make your way to become a peaceful, loving being ready to hold your responsibility well at home. Okay, so that's that. I talked about energetic parasites. That's protecting your personal space, dealing with energy hygiene. That's crucial. You need energy hygiene. You need to know when to not be in certain spaces. I always tell us, as we raised our children, we have this conversation all the time. If you've been out in the world dealing with crazy, then you need to deal with some salt. You need a salt water bath before you think you're going to get in your bed, or you're going to bring the crazy with you right on into sleep. Salt water, just Epsom salt, if that's your choice. You need to clean yourself. Even if you just keep some salt in your shower and you put some salt in a cup and then you pour that over yourself after you've, taken your real soapy bath or whatever you do. But you need to cleanse energies, because energies operate like parasites. They do. And they latch onto you. And the next thing you know, you're attitudinal, temperamental, and cursing out your whoever that you love. Because energies, you know it, because you come into a space and you feel it. It doesn't feel right to you in here. You feel angry just because you walk in a space where people are hostile. Because energy transfers. It can't be destroyed. It only just transfers. So anyway, so that's that. We talked about energetic parasites. We talked about physical parasites. Let's see. Talked about herbs. I'm going to run some more herbs. Motherwort, linden. Motherwort is important for calming heart palpitations. This is going back to the blood pressure thing. Motherwort is helpful for calming heart palpitations, getting that electricity back balanced, reducing anxiety. Linden, I like a lot. I like linden. Smells so good. It's one of my favorite trees in the summer. So it relaxes blood vessels. It's a mild sedative. It's not going to knock you out. It's going to help you to just chill a little bit. And then, what was the last one I listed here? Oh, hawthorn. Yeah, hawthorn. Hawthorn is holy. We should all have hawthorn all the time. If you're working on matters of the heart, those deep red plants, you want them. Deep red vegetables, deep red flowers, all of them. Have them all the time. Hibiscus, hawthorn, all of those. Those things are pretty popular now for this, but just understanding that it should be in everything you have until you get this thing regulated. If you're trying to make your way off of those particular formulas that you're taking from the pharmacist, these are things that you have to invest in pretty heavy and stay with them. It improves, hawthorn is going to improve the coronary blood flow. That's important. Traditional dose for that, for the hawthorn, it's important to know that because it is so impactful in the sinus rhythm, that you need to take it consistently. You need to just take your, whatever that dose is, you want to take it all the time. If you're taking 2 ounces a day, like 2 ounces of tea a day, do it. 2 ounces in the morning, 2 ounces in the, just be consistent with it. And it takes a little bit of time for it to become stabilized. So you might see some fluctuating in the BP. This means you need to just regulate, stay consistent. Just like you was going to take that pill every day. Take the hawthorn every day. Okay, so last thing. I talked about, I see something about, you used, I know it's intense. I know, right? Parasite eviction. Ow, knock you around. It's a serious thing. What you see in the toilet after the fact is also pretty intense. And licorice. So licorice can cause elevations in the blood pressure. So I don't encourage taking licorice often when you're working on regulating the blood pressure. It can increase the blood pressure. For some people, I'm going to call it the rare few. It'll bring them right in line. The blood pressure will normalize for a while and it'll be great. My experience over many years is that it will cause peaks. And so I don't mess around with it too tough in that particular blend. Okay, so now here are my closing elements, guys. I want you to understand, I'm going back over everything. Heart-brain connection, integrating making sure that you have coherence in the way you're thinking and the way you're showing up in the world. Understanding that your thoughts directly impact your feelings. Your feelings directly impact the function of the heart. And if you know anybody at all who's working on hypertension and they're taking all those pills, but you see them, look, almost how they're showing up, how they're behaving is almost more important than what they're eating, because it's such an immediate effect. It's such an immediate effect. What their behavior affects their heart so almost faster than their food will. So encourage the person to work on some become more self-aware and work on some development of their behavior and their consciousness. Consciousness, that's what I'm looking for, becoming more conscious. It's really, really important. Okay, so there's that. We talked about the food stuff, emotional regulation, and energy management. We did all the things, beloveds. I could talk about this for forever. If you are interested in us working to look at your blood pressure and talk about what your body is doing, then you can do that. You can do a one-on-one consultation. Like I said, I really, 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 really love this subject, and I'm pretty good at it. I love it. And I want to see all of us well. I want to see us able to do more. And just know that whenever we're talking about blood pressure, people get real scary, because the industry of cardiovascular health is heavy built on fear. Is built real heavy on fear. Some of the markers that they're looking at, like 50 to 60% of the people on the planet are walking around with the very same thing that they're telling you is the thing that's going to kill you. And people have been walking around with it forever with no problem. You study something heavy enough and deep enough, and you're going to find trouble where you look. But the way you think about how you feel has so much more impact on you than the medications that you're taking. And we know it because they'll tell you how you're on one medication and it stopped working. Then they added another, and then that one stopped working. Now they added 3. Now they call you resistant. This is resistant hypertension. Resisting what? We were only dealing on one side of the picture here, only dealing with one side of the puzzle. I'm not resisting. You're just not actually addressing the issue, which is me. I like it when I'm the problem because I can fix me. If I'm the problem, I can address that. And so can you. You can. So, as I said, we have a program. It's called the 120 Naturally Healthy BP program. If you are interested in getting information about it, leave some notes somewhere. I don't know. What do you call it? Comments below this post, or right in here, and we'll follow up with you. You can also use the link in our bio if you want to connect up with us. You're also welcome to come to the Wellspring. You know where to find us. And if you don't, we are in Clinton, Maryland, and we do all this shipping things. We can mail things anywhere. Follow us on TikTok because we have a completely different conversation over there. So today, be sure to follow us on TikTok. A conversation on TikTok. Thursday, I think, it's going to be about men, sensuality, sexuality, and spirituality. Sensuality, sexuality, and spirituality for men. So that's what I got. I give thanks to you all. Thank you to my family for supporting me and helping me to make sure that I don't blow up and push the wrong button and cancel everything and end the live accidentally, all the things. I appreciate y'all, and I will see you the next time. Tea Time with Z is every single Tuesday on IG at 7:30. Tea with Z on TikTok is at 7:30 on Thursday. And otherwise, I'll see you in the spaces. Peace. Thank y'all.